John Davidson is just another example of the way white folks weaponize disability to escape accountability for anti-Black racism. Last Sunday, John Davidson, a Tourette syndrome advocate, involuntarily shouted the N-word at Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo as they were presenting during the BAFTA Awards. Emma McNally, CEO of UK charity Tourette's Action, also issued a statement on Monday in which she addressed an extremely saddening backlash from certain parts of the media following Davidson's involuntary tics. The incident has sparked apologies from BAFTA and the BBC, which has come under fire for not removing the slur from its broadcast despite a 2-hour delay. It removed Akinola Davies Jr.'s Free Palestine remark when the UK filmmaker accepted an award on stage, explaining that the 3-hour show had to be cut to a 2-hour broadcast slot. Here's the thing. I don't think anybody had a problem with the fact that John Davidson had an outburst. What they had a problem with was the fact that everybody acted like it didn't happen and then expected 2 Black actors to be the, quote, bigger men because a white man had a disability. What you'll notice from all the statements is that the BBC and the BAFTA both spent a large amount of time centering a white disabled man's needs while they ignored the harm his involuntary outburst caused. They took the time to explain to the audience that folks should have compassion for Mr. Davidson, yet offered no compassion for the actors or for the audience members who were subjected to hate speech during a time when Black community members were honoring 2 members of their community that made a film elevating Black culture. Just look at the article and you'll see the same pattern repeating. The title itself centers the man who inadvertently caused harm, but caused harm nonetheless, by saying Tourette campaigner John Davidson was deeply mortified. The title of the article tells readers we should feel bad for him, not the actors. It makes no mention of what it must feel like to be deeply harmed by having a special, magical, celebratory moment marred by the shouting of a hateful slur that conjures up years of subjugation, rape, murder, and terror. Again, this is not about shaming people with Tourette's for their disability. This is about naming the harm that Mr. Davidson caused inadvertently. This is the problem with a racist binary thinking, which says that if we're going to have compassion for John, then we shouldn't have any compassion for the actors or for the audience members or for the millions of viewers who watched this incident take place. There's no mention of the harm that was caused to the Black community at large by not acknowledging that this harmful anti-Black slur was shouted at Black icons during this awards event. In fact, the BBC rubbed salt into the wound by not taking any action until several days later when Black community members called it out. The BBC thought it was less of a deal than somebody shouting Free Palestine, apparently. So to recap, they had the time to cut out Free Palestine, which is not a bigoted slur, and is a good thing actually, yet they allowed this outburst to be included not only during the original airing, but in replays of the show, which shows they must think it's normal for Black people to just let hate speech against them slide. They must expect Black people are used to hearing stuff like this, so we should just get over it. It shouldn't be a responsibility of Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo or any Black person for that matter to be the better man and tolerate this type of verbal abuse. And it should not be the responsibility of Black Americans who are tired of dealing with these bullshit apologies. I mean, look at what Mr. Davidson says and then look at what the Tourette's advocate says. Both of them basically say, it's not my fault. That would be like if I run over your dog and it's an accident, it's not my fault. So you don't have a right to feel bad about it. Fuck you. Just get over it. Be the bigger person. If a blind person was in a wheelchair and rolled over your toe because they didn't see it and it fucking broke your toe and you said, well, it's not my fault. I'm in a wheelchair, so fuck you. Deal with it. And don't make me feel bad about it. Or if a person with a visual disability bumped into you and knocked searing hot coffee on you accidentally because they can't see and then said, oh, well, I'm blind, so fuck you. Just deal with it. That's basically what they're saying. And this happens all the time, specifically when it involves a white person and a non-white person. Nobody's saying that this guy, John Davidson, shouldn't have Tourette's when he has Tourette's. And no one's saying that he should be able to control things that are involuntary. Fine. But he does have the ability to apologize directly to the people that his words involuntarily harmed. And he definitely has the ability to apologize after the fact when he has the ability to address it. But instead, he makes excuses, explaining why the harm his outburst caused is not his fault. Again, he centers himself, saying he can't control it and he was mortified. And basically, we are the bad guys if we don't just get over it. In fact, we should be the ones having compassion for him. We should feel bad for him. Look, if you do something inadvertently and it causes harm, yes, we can have compassion for you. And we should definitely have compassion for people with disabilities that cause them to engage in behaviors that inadvertently cause harm. But that doesn't mean we have to ignore or tolerate harmful behavior. I've had students in my classes that had disabilities which caused them to behave in ways that caused harm to staff and other students. Students can be tolerant of disabled people and still not tolerate abusive behavior or language. I had a student who had a history of lashing out when he got frustrated. We made plans to include him, and that also included protecting the rights of other students to learn in an environment free of verbal and physical abuse. So no, I don't accept your fucking apology, and I don't think anybody else should. And I think that the BBC and BAFTA and John Davidson need to do better. John needs to offer a real apology to the actors personally, and the BBC and BAFTA need to go higher than the lowest bar. They should pay and do some kind of service to repair the harm. Maybe they could lend their money and time to amplifying more Black artists and greenlighting more Black projects. They should have to work for their forgiveness. They should have to make it up, not just to Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo. They should also have to make it up to all the people who had to watch that shit, and that means doing something physically. Show me some fucking action. Do something other than writing a shitty ass apology that nobody cares about. That's my take. Let me know what you think in the comments. Follow me at patreon.com/justtalkspodcast. I hope to see you there.